then Toni finally Schiavone, finally, I should say. Finally, Toni Schiavone was in the ring and introduced Mariah May.
Mariah.
Well, that's what they call the wind. But actually, you know, they call Mariah the snow because she was pure as the driven snow, but then she drifted. And in Maria's opening line when she gets in the ring with Toni was, okay, Toni, let's get this shit over with. And
that's
Toni,
the AEW company motto, actually, from what I understand.
Well, she's been called out there so that she can talk to Toni Storm face to face.
All right, Toni, let's get this shit over with. That's what everyone says there.
And and as a matter of fact, then Toni Schiavone introduces Toni Storm so she can come out in this fiasco of a company owned by Tony Khan. Toni. That was an underrated group, wasn't it?
It feels good.
I didn't ask you to.
That was the name of the song.
Oh, okay.
By Toni.
I didn't. Anyway, so now we should mention at this point that let me try to get this straight without going into boring detail. Over the Toni Storm was gone for a few months, and then several weeks ago she showed back up, but she wasn't timeless Toni Storm in black and white. She wasn't doing the overly dramatic movie star homage, whatever the fuck. She was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed like rookie Toni Storm. She didn't remember ever being in AEW. She didn't remember ever meeting any of these people that she'd either been friends with or had been fighting. She was just thrilled to be here and going to prove herself, right? Complete amnesia. Just forgotten what the fuck had gone on for a couple of years. That's basically what was going on, right?
Well, that's what I think I kind of said where it ended up going. That's what she was leading people to believe, but...
Well, but that's the way that she was presenting it. And Nigel, even here, this is all going to go into, this is my presentation now. I'm prosecuting his case. This is all going to go into my questioning here in a minute. Nigel, the heel commentator, is mentioning, well, everyone's playing along with Toni Storm's facade. So there's been some mention on the show that this is a facade. But it's the same point. Some people have been playing along with it like they were doing when they played along with it when she was timeless Toni Storm, and suddenly everybody was, oh, okay, I'm in black and white now because you're standing next to me. It was commonplace. And Toni Storm comes out dressed like the rock and roll, cheerful, happy, peppy little girl. And then Mariah May proceeds to both verbally and physically demolish, decimate, disseminate even Toni Storm. She cuts the promo on her and tells her she means absolutely nothing to her. She is nothing. You're a joke. The fans, you're nothing to them. They laugh at you and they forget about you. And as she's taking this browbeating, she's looking all hurt and all downcast. And Mariah May goes, I don't care about you. I used you. I used you to get what I wanted, and I love it. I love the way I feel right now, and I will get off on humiliating you in your hometown in Australia. And there's more downcast fucking look. But then Toni Storm is like, Mariah, I'm your biggest fan. I've seen everything you've ever done. You're an inspiration to me. I want to be just like you. And she hugs Mariah May around the waist like the pictures of Tony Khan hugging the talent. Okay, so now, Brian, would you agree, and the witness will be directed to answer, would you agree that that was a goddamn tongue lashing that Mariah May gave Toni Storm? That
Mariah?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of a fucking just verbal beatdown like that, you fucking piece of shit, you scum under my shoe. It was very rude verbiage, wasn't it?
Very much so, yes.
And then to come back and hug, her as, oh, but I'm your biggest fan, blah, blah, blah. And I want to be just like you. Well, then Maria or Mariah, if you insist, pets her head and then pushes her back and slaps the shit out of goddamn Toni Storm. And then again, the second one was on the ear and or the side of the head. But god damn. And then grabbed her by the hair and fucking jerked her around and turned and bullied Tony Schiavone out of that. Like, Tony Schiavone is now, okay, I'll put anybody over at this point. Just don't hurt me. And then she had the title belt and she hit Toni Storm over the head with the belt and then started whipping her with a big, heavy women's belt like 5 times hard. And here came the referees and the security. And Mariah shoves Aubrey Ed in the face and hits Toni Storm 2 more times with the belt and slams her face in the mat and spits on her. I mean, she did everything but give her a fucking golden shower. Right?
Okay, can I jump in real quick at this point?
Yes, I was about to say, and I want Brian to jump in on this.
At this point, I'm like, wow, they're doing a lot here on Collision opposite Saturday night's main event. You would think, again, I'm not saying I'm a big fan of the timeless Toni Storm stuff, but considering how over it is with their fans, and considering some of the dreck that gets on Wednesday nights,
and considering the reaction that the next thing is about to get.
Yeah, the next thing, well, I won't spoil it, but why wasn't this on Wednesday?
I honestly, I don't know, though, how anybody other than the Daly's Place in Jacksonville faithful might have reacted to this, but basically, Toni Storm has been verbally just destroyed, just to talk down to, and still tried to want to make up and hug. And then Mariah May has just beaten her and just spit on her and wiped her feet on her and just left her down in the middle of the fucking ring and just walked off from her. Just like, fuck you, you're garbage. And Toni Storm gets the mic, and while she's laying on the mat, you hear, "What makes you think I've forgotten? What makes you think our dance is done?" Oh, my God. "I'll feel each scar forever and remember every drop of blood, but now it's my moment in the sun." And she starts taking her clothes off in the middle of the ring. And I'm thinking, my God, it's a Britney Spears fucking day. She's going to strip naked. Is this live?
As soon as she got on the mic, the first thing she said, as soon as she had the accent, the timeless accent, the place popped.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to raise a question here about that in a second, though. But first, yes, they popped. And then when she started taking her clothes off, well, they popped. And, one would think they would. But it started looking like she had her old gear on underneath. And she said, "The hardest role you'll ever play is yourself." And she took her pants off. And, well, am I lying?
It's just those are sentences you don't usually hear together.
Well, and she had her old fishnets on. And she said, "What you've just witnessed is the performance of a lifetime." And apparently from that point, she, in a very proper accent, said she was going to shove Mariah May back up her womb where she came from and then spit her out and rip her tits off. Am I lying?
That's heat. I mean, you don't really hear too many promos like that. "I'm going to rip your tits off."
After spitting you out my own womb, I wonder if there's room in the womb for the size now that Mariah May is. But the fans were going crazy. The fans this was the only thing on the whole show they gave 2 flying French fried titty fucks about. But my question to you, Brian, is even if, and you called it, I acknowledge you again. I acknowledge you, my prognosticator in chief. Then you said it was all going to be an act of blah, blah, blah. But how did it help her being Toni Storm, to not only be talked to like the worst type of scum that's ever existed on the earth, but then get the teetotal dog shit beat out of her first before she revealed that? And what?
How did it benefit her coming back and pretending that she was the old Toni Storm?
That's what how did this, because they're going to fight in Australia because Toni Storm's from Australia. So the old Storm or the new Storm or any Storm in between was still going to be from Australia. But the point, even if you work with the idea that there was a reason for her to come back and have amnesia in order to get Mariah May in the ring in the position or whatever she wanted her in, if she came out to the ring just like they did here, and let the heel get the heat by giving her the verbal dissection, and then her saying, well, I just want to be your friend. You're not worthy as if you want to be my friend, if you want to be my stooge or whatever the fucking term would be with the people with the accents, get down on your knees in front of me and kiss my foot. And then Toni Storm could get down, and then all of a sudden she could fucking leg dive Mariah May and take her shoe off and start beating Mariah May over the head with her fucking shoe, because Toni Storm used to throw the shoe. Watch the shoe, right? Or was it watch the tits and duck the shoe? Whatever it was. She was throwing shoes at people, correct?
I believe so.
So she could beat Mariah May in the head with the fucking shoe, and Mariah May could roll out like, oh shit, what? And then she could do the fucking promo. I'm back. It was all a plan to be able to hit you in the head with a shoe. But why did she have to sit there and get the shit kicked out of her?
It's like The Undertaker when he rose from the dead, except her gimmick rose from the dead, I guess.
I don't know if this show is risen from the dead. But
again, the people were more into that than anything.
Oh, yeah.
Usually, they've been waiting for something to happen with Toni Storm, and now they're going to have this match on this event. I was about to say pay-per-view. It's not a pay-per-view. It's an event in Australia that no one knows when it starts, and no one knows what most of the lineup is, and no one's sure where it's going to air or how, or live.
But otherwise than that, it's a can't-miss event.
That's 2 weeks from now. Whenever you hear this, maybe.